Hi everyone, welcome to Dragon Image. Today we're in the showroom having a look at the Lightpro heavy duty softboxes. These are new quick softboxes by Lightpro. Unlike our previous models of quick softboxes, they don't have an umbrella mechanism. The mechanism is actually part of the speed ring. You can see also that none of the rods are appearing within the softbox. These are 16-sided parabolics, available in three sizes, and also in a strip softbox variant and a more rectangular traditional portrait size. The advantage of getting rid of the umbrella mechanism was to kind of reduce how much loss of light occurs through the softbox because you're blocking it with a mechanism, and also because it allows you to have a much more kind of circular parabolic design. So the way this one is quick is a little bit different. So basically you've got these little kind of pushes here, you push them, and what they do is they reduce the pressure on the softbox. Normally I do this by going around to each side and doing a couple, and slowly kind of getting down to nothing. Once you have got kind of all the sides down to nothing, you end up with a softbox which is significantly smaller and kind of easier to transport. And then to set it up, what I'll do is I'll go back to my kind of 12 o'clock, kind of 6 o'clock kind of range. Here's my honeycomb, has velcroed me shut. But basically you can see that slowly you can kind of simply pull them and they click into place. And once you've done all of them, you end up with a usable softbox. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these into the studio, we're going to get a light meter, and we're going to measure the fall off of the light, and you can see just what effect these softboxes give you. Hi everyone, so we're here in the studio at Dragon Image Sydney, and we've got a 120 centimeter 16-sided parabolic softbox from Lightpro directly next to me. Currently using it with the honeycomb, which is controlling the light and not letting it spill all around the room, allowing me to have light kind of hitting me directly. By it being so large, I am getting a little bit more of that wrapping and softness which occurs by larger softboxes or larger light sources in general, because the light is not only kind of traveling from the light source itself, but also from the edges of the softboxes, which is giving me a little bit of wrapping, so it's kind of coming around me from different angles. So first of all, as I said before, this type of softbox is available in a couple of different sizes. So here are some photos. So for instance, this one here is the smaller size, with and without the honeycomb. And then we've also got the medium size as well as the 120 that I'm using here. We photograph these in our studios upstairs. Photographing with them just means that we can get nice and crisp shots, so you can kind of see it a bit better. And here is the strip softbox and the rectangular 60 by 90. Okay, so those are the kind of the effects that the softbox produce. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our spectrometer and we're going to measure it. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure a couple of different things. First of all, we're going to measure the kind of light that's hitting me, as well as the light that's hitting me without the accessory on there. So that gives you an indication of how much light will be lost. And then we'll also remove some of the accessories so you can see just how much each accessory has on not only the color, but also the output of the light itself, as well as how it floods the space. So you can actually see that in effect. Okay, so let's start. Okay, you can press stop now. Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3, hey everyone. Okay, so we've got our spectrometer, we just calibrated it to tell us what blacks is, and we're gonna hold it, and basically what I'm doing is I'm gonna line it up so that the kind of sensor lines up with the top of the spigot, okay? Obviously being off by a couple of mil isn't gonna have a huge impact on that, and I can kind of bring that over to you close and make sure you can read that. Confirm, yep, cool. Okay, so CCT is 5600, or one off. Lux 1474, TLCI, which is a better version of CRI, 96.7, and SSI-A is 41.8. Then the next one I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a TM30. Please wait. And so a TM30, this kind of gives you a visual indication of the spectrum that is being created. So again, I just hold it into that position and tap it. you go. And so the idea here is that the better that circle is, the better the color in regards to the full spectrum being accounted for. And that's pretty good. So we've got a 91 with an RG of 104. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna put the softbox back on and take another reading. We'll probably speed up this section because otherwise it just kind of takes forever. Yes, it is. Okay, so we'll do the first one with the honeycomb and then we'll start removing things. Okay. Okay, so now I've got my honeycomb on. I haven't moved the stand. Obviously, the honeycomb, the softboxes added kind of size. This is just basically the easiest way to kind of measure it because the person will be standing in that same position. Okay, so take a reading. Okay, so straight away, we've got our, I don't know if you can see that. Cool. Okay, so CCT of 5264, which means that the softbox itself has cooled down the light by about 340 odd degrees Kelvin. The lux is 669, which means we've reducing the amount of light significantly, but obviously we've got double diffusion and a honeycomb. TLCI is 96.6 and SSIA is 46.1. And now what we'll do is we'll do the TM30 again. And so basically one of the things that you need to be concerned about with softboxes is having huge shifts in both color and rimming. So one of the things is that occasionally softboxes will have a situation where the edge of the light changes color. So you just need to be aware of that. And we can kind of see there. So again, pretty good. We've got an RG of 100 and an RF of 90.8. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start removing layers. So the first thing to go is our honeycomb. And the first thing you'll notice when I remove my honeycomb is that light will kind of spill in the ambient kind of area. Let's put this back. So obviously important if you want to try to light a larger area, having the honeycomb off will make that significantly easier. Okay, now we'll take another reading. Okay. Cool. Okay, so CCT of 5265, which is extremely close to the previous one. Lux of 1264, so that's nearly double the amount of light. TLCI is 96.5 and SSIA is 46. And again, we'll switch over TM30. And to be honest with you, I'm not expecting a huge difference in the TM30 or the settings regarding TLCI and so forth, since this softbox is quite good. And let's wait, there we go. So RF of 90.7 and RG of 100, making it extremely accurate for the spectrum that it's kind of covering. And again, we'll remove the front diffusion. So this just leaves the internal diffusion. One of the things that you'll find straight away when removing a front diffusion and leaving an internal diffusion on is you end up with kind of this haloing kind of effect. Because what's happening is light is bouncing off the sides of it and kind of getting around that internal kind of baffle and kind of creating kind of an edge where there's kind of lighting around a rim. This can be used quite effectively to create almost like a ring light in the eye when positioned directly behind the camera. So again, we'll take another reading. So this time, again, here we go. Okay, so CCT of 54, so we've recovered a little bit of that warmth that we had previously. Lux is now 1891, which means we've covered a little bit more of that power. TLCI 96.5 and SSIA 44.2. And then back to the TM30. So this here. And take a reading. At 90.9 and 100.2. Again, extremely good. Okay, so there are circumstances in which you would choose to use certain baffles instead of all of them. One of them might be that you just don't have enough power and you're trying to get extra power. Most of the time you would remove the internal baffle and just use the external one on its own. The other time is when you want not so soft light, but you want control. You might use the honeycomb without any baffles and have that kind of harsh light coming through. Okay, so last but not least, remove the internal baffle. What this will do is give me a mix between the light source directly hitting the sensor and also the light bouncing off the actual silver diffusion. And you can see this has become a much more, almost like a spotlight-esque effect. We've got these harsh kind of shadows being created and these harsh lines. So this can be used to kind of control the light, but still give you this kind of really nice, aggressive light source. Okay, so let's take a reading. Okay, so again, we recovered a little bit of that color. Since previously, without anything on there, it was 56. Lux, 2713, TLCI 96.6, and SSI 42.6. And now back to the TM30. Just letting that kind of load. Okay, so we've got 91 and 100.4. So one of the things that a lot of people kind of think they have to use a softbox in its completed state. A lot of people use softboxes with the honeycombs, even when they don't necessarily know what the honeycomb does. But there are definitely times where you do need it, and sometimes when you don't. So for instance, now we'll just put the honeycomb back on, and I can just kind of show you that you can use a softbox with a honeycomb, but without the diffusion. And so what this does is it just reduces that, gets rid of all that softness of the light, but now it's kind of still kind of controlling it and kind of giving us this kind of almost kind of honeycomb kind of effect. So this is very similar to having, like for instance, a gobo or something like this. This can be used to great effect on backgrounds, because what tends to happen is you don't get that effect as prominent on the center of the light source, but as it goes off to the sides, you can see that's creating this kind of honeycomb kind of effect. And that's creating more of a stylistic kind of point of view. But you can create custom kind of gobos and stuff for them that I've seen people do in the past while still using the softbox in its entirety. Okay, so here we are. We've got our camera set up. We've got our monitor on top. This is going to show us zebras. We're shooting at 50th of a second at f16, 125 ISO. And what we're doing is we're just turning the aperture and to see when those kind of zebras kick in. So you can see the zebras have kicked in at f13, f11, and f10. So that means there's less than a stop, so 2/3 of a stop between when the kind of zebras appear and when they don't appear, which means that the evenness of the softbox from the edges to the center is less than a stop. And that's really good because it means that we're not getting any kind of hot spots on it, and it means that we get a more even illumination. If you're interested in any lighting modifier for Aperture, Godox, or any other Lightpro product, you can always visit your local Dragon Image store. We've got plenty on display, and we're always happy to take them into the studio so you can play with them yourself. Thanks.